It is said that, besides humans, there has been another species coexisting with them since ancient times. These creatures, known as monsters, come in various forms, and their relationship with humans is intricate and complex. These monsters have been hiding among us, yet at that time, Si Yang, a 19-year-old orphaned student, working part-time to support himself and his younger sister, had no inkling of their existence. His story begins in Yongqing City, one late August evening at 11 p.m. Si Yang was in a rush, almost late for delivering an order to a customer. The customer, far from friendly, warned him that the order's time was about to expire. The pressure was on, and Si Yang hopped onto his middle scooter, determined to reach the destination as quickly as possible. Little did he know that this seemingly mundane delivery would change his life forever. As he sped through the streets, fate intervened. The building ahead collapsed, showering the highway with debris. Si Yang swerved to avoid falling cement, but his scooter was destroyed, and the food order tumbled to the ground. Dazed and disoriented, he looked up to see a massive, muscular cat monster hurtling toward him. The sight was unbelievable, yet there it was. The monster crashed into him, pinning him to the ground. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, the cat monster lifted Si Yang, ready to devour him. But a magical ball, seemingly from nowhere, struck the monster's arm. The impact forced it to release Si Yang. To his surprise, the magic ball had come from a fox monster, which now engaged the cat monster in a fierce battle. Si Yang watched, bewildered, as the fox bit into the cat monster's neck. As the dust settled, a figure emerged from the twilight. A beautiful girl. She declared that she had caught the demon cat, though she lamented being a little late due to a civilian getting involved. Si Yang's ordinary life had taken an unexpected turn, and he was about to learn that the world held secrets far beyond his imagination. The girl declared it was hopeless. The boy lay crushed, unable to finish their conversation. The panel shifted, revealing our boy, barely conscious, asking if he was going to die. His sister awaited him at home, hungry and worried. Despite his suffering, he expressed a desire to live longer. Just when all seemed lost, a glimmer of hope appeared. The girl apologized, admitting it was her fault he was hurt. She assured him she would save him. He needn't worry. As the species devoured him, our boy blinked awake, shocked by the unexpected turn of events. He wondered why he was still alive. Was it all a delusion? Perhaps he'd been daydreaming. Yet, behind him, a cute yellow slime waved, insisting it was no illusion. Everything was real. He turned to face the slime, shouting in surprise. Meanwhile, at the Shanghai Association, a report circulated. A new monster master had emerged. On screen, a mysterious man with long white hair marveled at the rare sight. The awakening of a new monster master. Our boy, the one they spoke of, watched in fear and amazement. Mud-like creatures conversed like humans, and the cute slime, iongqi, calmed him down. She explained that she had saved and healed him, revealing a pattern on his forehead, a green mark. It signified a blood pact, proof that he had received her blood. They were now partners, and she declared him her new monster master. With a smile, iongqi warned him not to get rid of her, lest he die again. Our boy felt overwhelmed, while iongqi rejoiced at having a master. She hoped they would work well together. He hadn't expected this strange twist in his life, feeling like a loser and an otaku delivery guy. Destiny had other plans, whether he accepted them or not. As he returned to his apartment, opening the door with a lonely and exhausted feeling, he faced an unexpected surprise. His sister's voice echoed through the room, scolding him loudly. She demanded to know why he was so late, reminding him that he hadn't informed her of his late-night return. Stepping forward, she brandished her cooking fan, her anger palpable. According to her, his tardiness had ruined the noodles she'd prepared. This girl was Siyue, his younger sister. She addressed him coldly, thrusting a ladle toward his face, demanding an explanation. Cornered, he pleaded for a moment to calm down and explain. With a serious expression, he confessed that he had taken an urgent customer order. Sweat dotted his face as he spoke. Siyue remained stern, insisting on the truth. He couldn't lie to her. Before he could finish, Chongi, the cute slime, interjected. She revealed that her brother had actually died, killed by a monster. But she had saved him by sharing a part of her own body. With Chongi's sudden appearance, the room fell into an abrupt silence. Our protagonist glanced at her, panic welling up. Would his sister be frightened by this unexpected partner? He scrambled to calm her down. But to his surprise, his sister acted strangely, touching every part of his body, checking if he was okay. After her examination, she commented that he seemed fine, giving him a thumbs up and a smile. His attention shifted to Chongi, and he couldn't resist grabbing her, asking what she was. Why was she so cute? His sister's lack of fear puzzled him, but seeing her happy eased his own anxiety. As they sat down to eat, he explained everything that had happened. Chongi revealed that he had made a blood pact with her, making him her master. She blushed, embarrassed by the admission. His sister, however, questioned why Chongi referred to herself as a monster when she looked so adorable. The unexpected words nearly choked him, and he responded with anger. But then his sister's expression changed. Sadness and fear crept in. She was relieved he was okay, demanding that he never leave her alone again. Tears welled up in her eyes. Standing up, he assured her that he wouldn't seek trouble or get involved in dangerous situations. It was a promise. His sister blushed and looked shy, but her smile revealed her happiness. Meanwhile, Chongi raised her hand, suggesting that things might be difficult for him. He wiped sweat from his face, asking her what she meant. Before they could continue, the doorbell rang, a sudden interruption. He hurried to answer it, finding a guy waiting outside, and as he opened the door, thankfully, it's not what we feared. It's not some ominous sign or misfortune waiting to happen. Instead, it turns out to be a girl, someone who had witnessed his near demise earlier. When they saw each other, our boy was shocked, not expecting this encounter. He asked her what she was doing in his home, while the girl, equally surprised, wondered how it was possible that he had recovered from such a perilous situation. She remarked on how strange it was, noting his miraculous recovery. At that moment, the charming Chongi greeted her. As she looked at him, she realized the reason for his swift recovery. With a knowing smile, she told him that she was sure he was the new monster master their guild had been talking about. Surprised by her words, he asked if she truly knew something and pressed her to explain what was going on. She replied that it was a long story and suggested they go inside to talk. Once inside, the girl began to reveal the truth. Monsters have always existed since ancient times, she explained, and certain humans possess spiritual powers that allow them to control these creatures. Those who team up with monsters are known as monster masters. However, as time passed, humans stopped believing in gods and ghosts, and the number of monster masters dwindled. The monsters went into hiding, but the monster masters still exist. The remaining ones formed a secret organization known as the Shanghai Association, and she was a part of it, a guild responsible for managing the effects of monsters on the human world. She revealed that their association had detected his emergence as a monster master and came to confirm it. As she spoke, she sat there with an air of grace, almost like a goddess, and then invited him to join her guild. It was clear that this girl was doing a good job of enticing our boy, wasn't she? In the meantime, our boy had to catch up to her, raising his hand to stop her from speaking so he could process everything. He asked her a question, explaining that, as she could see, he had died just a moment ago and had only just come back to life. All he wanted now was to work hard and earn money for his and his sister's future. He pointed out that the monsters were dangerous, and he knew she understood that these creatures were strong enough to kill him with just one slap. She should be straight with him. He was weak, and who knew how many times he would have to die if he joined them. Hearing this, the girl nearly laughed at his honest and direct words, but managed to respond, trying to convince him. She explained that if he agreed to join their association, They would cover his registration fee, and he would have full access to free learning resources. They would teach him everything he needed to know. Moreover, after completing tasks, he could earn generous rewards. The higher the difficulty, the greater the reward, she added. He could even receive twice the monthly allowance, with benefits for his family as well. She also mentioned that being a monster master wouldn't require daily attendance, and it wouldn't interfere with his regular work and life. As he thought about it and heard of such a generous offer, his eyes lit up as if he had hit the jackpot. He decided to join, giving her a thumbs up. Meanwhile, his sister remarked that as soon as he heard about money, he forgot that he had just died, saying that this was his true nature. Now, days later, in the forest, our boy began his training under the guidance of the association. It seemed as though he was running through the forest, realizing that becoming a monster master was like being thrown into a forest full of monsters to test his power and abilities. As he ran like a madman, his right foot caught on the root of a tree and he tumbled to the ground. As the masters saw this, they rushed toward him with terrifying looks in their eyes. Knowing what the outcome would be, he realized this might be his end once again. He turned to face them with his eyes closed, trembling with fear, but shouted defiantly, "Bring it on!" However, instead of attacking him, the monsters surrounded his pet, something he hadn't expected. When he turned around, the monsters seemed happy, laughing as they raised his cute pet into the air. And they mumbled about finally catching some fresh meat, celebrating their successful hunt. Meanwhile, our poor, cute iongqi was crying in hopelessness, questioning aloud if he wasn't supposed to be the one eating them. It seemed our boy was clueless. In response, one of the goblins mocked him, asking who would want to eat a stinky human like him, slapping him with those words. He was shocked and couldn't believe it, as if they had figured out that he was broke and worthless. The monsters ignored him, chatting among themselves about how delicious the meat might be, while he stood there, seething with anger. Cursing those idiotic monsters under his breath, he suddenly charged at them with a fierce, domineering aura and a terrifying look in his eyes. Surprised, the monsters thought the stinky human was trying to steal their prey, so they quickly backed away, not wanting to get bitten. Now, our boy was fully focused and annoyed, rushing forward and demanding to know if they had finally decided to eat him. Oh my gosh, our boy couldn't seem to let go of what the monsters had said to him. But surprisingly, he had his pride. Now, he wanted to prove them wrong and show his true strength. He declared this with the confidence of someone foolishly full of himself. The monsters, however, suddenly rushed to move away, trying to escape. Leaving them there alone, it seemed that the monsters had become scared of something they sensed. To his surprise, he thought the monsters were toying with him, making him look like an idiot. He shouted after them, calling them stupid bastards as they left. Still confused, he scratched his head and muttered that it was strange, wondering why the monsters had suddenly stopped eating his pet monster. Suddenly, a girl appeared, running towards him. She seemed alarmed, while he trying to figure out what was happening and why the monsters had been scared off. As the girl ran closer, she shouted for him to run away and get out of there immediately, warning that the monster was coming. He stood there, still confused, not understanding why the girl was so frantic. But then, the ground shook violently, and our clueless boy was slow to catch on. The girl, thinking he was an idiot, repeated her warning, urging him to get away right now. Unfortunately, it was too late. As he turned around, fear finally set in. A massive beast of a monster appeared before him and attacked. Although he was clueless, he reacted quickly, dodging to the side while holding his pet tightly. They landed near the girl, who had been running back. The girl was surprised to see him appear out of nowhere, but as soon as he landed, our boy spun around and tossed his pet to her, telling her to hold on to it and run away. He added that his pet could heal wounds and would help her if anything bad happened. The girl, stunned, asked what about him, while our cute iongqi happily landed on a soft pillow, seemingly enjoying the comfort. I wonder if this unisex slime mud has a special interest in girl things. Anyway, the beast was furious and charged at him, determined to take them down. But he acted quickly and started to run, shouting that the beast had picked the wrong opponent because he was the toughest delivery guy around. As the beast chased him, he remembered to warn it not to underestimate his speed, boasting that his agility was top-notch. The beast lunged at him, but he noticed and jumped out of the way. However, despite avoiding the attack, he got scratched on his hand from the massive claw swipe. As he continued to flee, the beast relentlessly pursued him. Suddenly, his forearm began to glow with a red light, revealing a mysterious mark. The beast recoiled in fear, as if the glowing mark was affecting it. Then, to his surprise, the beast started to transform into a little cat. He hadn't expected this at all. The once ferocious beast, now a tiny cat, approached him with the mark still visible on its head, as if it had formed a contract with him. But as you know, our boy was clueless and had no idea what was happening. He wondered how the giant beast had suddenly turned into a little cat. The cat, now rubbing against him affectionately, showed its soft side, and our boy couldn't resist the cuteness of the little creature. After that scene, the girl showed up, hugging Cheongi tightly, and it seemed our little Cheongi was thoroughly enjoying it. She returned to check on him, making sure he was fine, to which he replied that the situation had somehow resolved itself. The girl then noticed the small cat and asked if it was the beast monster from before. He confirmed it, though still confused himself. Suddenly, the girl asked him how he managed to tame the little cat. He replied that he didn't do anything. He honestly thought he was going to die and had no idea what had happened. But then a bright idea popped into his head. Boasting, he told the girl that maybe he was a genius among geniuses, which is why he defeated the monster with just one blow. The girl, half-jokingly, seemed worried that he might be a psychopath who had lost his mind. But before she could respond, Cheongi jumped back onto his shoulder, and he added, with a bit of flair, that maybe he had some sort of superpower hidden inside him. As the girl inspected the little cat, he rubbed its head and remarked that it didn't look identical to the beast from before. He started to believe that the beast must have died from his single strike. Our boy seems to be dreaming, huh? The girl, seeming to agree, said that if that's the case, then the little cat is a new member too. She added that it was so cute, she wanted to touch it herself. However, the little one sensed her intention and, not wanting to be touched by anyone else, emitted a warning aura, showing its loyalty to its master. Realizing this, she decided not to push her luck and let it be. The girl then introduced herself as Ivy and extended her hand for a handshake, asking for his name. He replied that he was Si Yang, a newbie member of their association, and shook her hand. As they exchanged introductions, Si Yang thought about how he was already considering giving up and quitting the association. But Ivy noticed something on his hand, a mark, and asked if he had just tamed the fierce beast cat. He responded by asking if she was talking about the contract with his pet, Cheongi, while pointing to the little creature. Cheongi, of course, had no idea what his master was talking about. Ivy explained that the mark on his wrist matched the one on the cat's head, proving that he had tamed it and formed a contract. When Si Yang asked why his buddy Cheongi didn't have a mark, she explained that it was a normal contract mark that would disappear after a while. Ivy suddenly realized something and was amazed, wondering if Si Yang had also made a blood contract with Cheongi, meaning he had two monster contracts. Si Yang, clueless about how incredible that was, began to boast again. But before he could get carried away, our Nuna appeared, rushing over with a worried look. She mentioned that a fierce beast had escaped and caused havoc, but she seemed surprised to find them unharmed. She asked if everything was all right or if she was seeing things wrong. She looked around searching for signs of havoc, but found none. When she asked if they had seen the beast, the two of them pointed to the little cat she had been searching for. Surprised, she couldn't believe it, and double-checked to see if she was mistaken, that the little cat was indeed the fierce beast. Now that she had calmed down, she wanted to know how it had happened and asked how the fierce beast ended up like that. The two of them, just as clueless, responded that they didn't know either and were just as curious as she was. Thinking that these two might be difficult to handle and that teaching them would be a challenge, Ivy guessed that the mark on Si Yang's wrist might have something to do with it. When Si Yang showed her the mark, she initially brushed it off, saying it was just a contract mark, so what was the big deal? But then, as it dawned on her, She was shocked and asked if he had made a contract with the fierce beast, reminding him that he had already formed a contract with Chungi. She asked if it was even possible to form more than one contract with monsters. As expected, Siyang, still clueless, replied with a shrug, asking what the big deal was and if it was strange for a monster master to do so. He scratched his head, clearly puzzled. Ivy suddenly became excited and amazed, explaining that usually a monster master can only form a contract with one monster. They can't forcibly form contracts with more than one, as the monster's power would backfire and cause their body to explode. But not only did Si Yang manage to forcefully form a contract without exploding, he also made contracts with two monsters. She added that he not only contracted a fierce beast, but also managed to turn it into a small form. Overcome with jealousy, she suddenly cried out, wishing she could have a clingy pet too. Si Yang, trying to be helpful, advised her not to get too captivated by a cat, warning that it could be dangerous. Asked him how he managed to do it, he replied that he wasn't sure. He only remembered thinking he was going to die and instinctively tried to block the attack with his hand. He had no idea what happened next, but suddenly the fierce beast had transformed into a little cat. While distracted, he started lecturing the little cat, complaining that it was so heavy that his neck felt like it was going to break under the weight. He even called his pet an idiot cat. Meanwhile, Arnuna stepped aside to call and report the day's events to their president. After finishing the call, she turned back to them and instructed them to follow her to their headquarters. While Siang had a lot of questions, he was already confused enough by their sudden test, but Ivy cut him off, saying they should save their chatter for the president. The scene shifted to the headquarters of their association. Upon entering, the three of them headed to the top of the building to meet the president. It seems that she was not only a new monster master, but also the president's granddaughter, as she called him, Grandpa. Si Yang was amazed at how grand and majestic the place was. When the president, Zhu Qingrong, turned around, he officially welcomed them to the association guild. Introducing himself as the president, he looked at Si Yang with a mix of disbelief and admiration, astonished that the boy had managed to tame two monsters at the same time, a truly surprising and rare talent. While our boy was just about to say resigning from the job, Ivy interrupted, praising their president and asking if it was true that the association's monthly subsidies for monster masters were exceptionally high. The curious and shocked expression on Si Yang's face showed how intrigued he was by what Ivy said. Their president laughed and confirmed it, saying it was true. He added that, in addition to the living allowance, there were extra subsidies for completing association tasks, with the amount varying depending on the task's difficulty. He further mentioned that for out-of-town assignments, travel expenses were fully covered, and the subsidy was doubled. Hearing this, both Si Yang and Ivy were captivated by the idea of earning so much money. It was clear these two had the same weakness when it came to finances. The old man concluded his explanation about the benefits and offerings of their association. Turning to Si Yang, he inquired if Si Yang had a younger sister. Si Yang appeared baffled, and the old man's smile lingered. Just then, their phones chimed with notifications. Si Yang checked his messages, revealing a 10,000 yuan deposit from the association group. The old man added that a basic living allowance would be provided for two people. Si Yang's jaw dropped in surprise. He hadn't anticipated this windfall. His initial suspicion that the association might be a scam wavered. Instead, he resolved to prove himself loyal. Si Yang pledged to serve them faithfully, even if it meant being ordered around like a devoted dog. After all, when it came to money, Si Yang was truly unyielding. Now, the old man addressed them, if you require anything, don't hesitate to ask. Our association boasts an extensive collection of materials related to monster mastery. He emphasized that, as official members, they needed to immerse themselves in study and acquaint themselves with the associated tasks. The response came swiftly, "Yes, master!" Their excitement palpable, they departed to guide fellow members to their assigned rooms for basic supplies. Meanwhile, the old man and his granddaughter, our Nuna, lingered behind. Curiosity tugged at Nuna. "Grandpa," she began, Why didn't you inquire about the undone fierce beast seal? It's odd that our newcomer, like that money-loving idiot Siang, her future boyfriend, could break it. Kidding aside, the old man's expression turned serious. The fierce beast seal, he explained, has weakened over time. Even without Ai Wei's accidental intrusion, it would have unraveled soon enough. Xiang merely happened to trigger it prematurely. There's little useful information to glean from asking them. Our Nuna was confused and started to say something about strengthening the seal, but before she could finish, her grandfather interrupted. He explained that even if they exhausted all the spiritual energy of the monster masters in the association, it would only delay the inevitable. It was merely a temporary solution. This piqued the interest of our boy, because his grandfather mentioned that he had unique potential and talent, which was an unexpected delight for him. The old man, who had thought of the boy as a clueless child, was impressed that the boy could solve a problem like a hot potato so easily. Hearing this, our Nuna was shocked and didn't expect that our boy had the potential to surpass other monster masters. Her grandfather went on to explain that the monster master's power was weakening, and the slumbering monsters were becoming restless. He emphasized that the boy had a special constitution and unlimited potential, and that his appearance at this crucial time gave them and humanity new hope. He ordered her to pass on his words. Whatever our boy needs, they must satisfy him and provide everything necessary to make him part of their combat force as soon as possible. They needed him for the success of their mission and for the future of humanity. What do you think, guys? Anyway, the old man didn't expect that a bird outside was overhearing their conversation. It appeared to be a beast monster sent by the enemy. Once it heard the news, the bird fled to report back to its master. Far from the city, in a rocky, dusky place, a mysterious figure awaited. The bird arrived and relayed everything to the man, who seemed shocked. "How can it be possible?" he said, amazed that those monster masters actually possessed such abilities. Apologizing, though it wasn't clear to whom, or perhaps to something hidden in the dusk, the man raised his hand and added that he had intended to save his little pet, but it had been snatched away. However, he vowed, with eyes shining with determination, to take it back. The scene shifted to the Shanghai Association canteen, where many members were eating. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the room, and it seemed our boy had lost consciousness, lying on the ground. Ivy rushed over to him, seeing him fall, clearly worried. She shouted, asking what had happened and if he was okay. Our boy lay there with a rat on his face, surrounded by his beast pets, all of them with worried expressions. The mark on his hand was glowing, and it seems it was disappearing as Ivy tried to wake him, saying he didn't seem to be breathing and calling for help in a panic. Meanwhile, our boy woke up in a strange place, seemingly within his own mind. Scratching his head, he noticed the place felt eerie, like a ghostly realm. He wondered why he was there, as he clearly remembered being in the canteen, eating just moments ago. It felt as if someone was playing a joke on him, or as if he had been taken by Hell Sama. But kidding aside, he was utterly confused about what was happening. Before he could say anything, he noticed someone else in the distance. As he looked closer, he saw it was his Nuna Jujiji. Confused, he rushed over to her, asking what she was doing there and if she knew where they were. However, Ju seemed to notice him and cryptically said, "If you like the video, always stay tuned," before turning away. It became clear that this wasn't Ju. It was his pet Chongi, mimicking her appearance. Shocked and scared, our boy shouted, which caused him to wake up abruptly. It had been a true nightmare, the first time he had encountered such a disturbing dream. As he woke up, his cute Chongi was staring at him with wide eyes, scaring him even more. Sweat covered his face as he looked at Chongi in confusion. Ivy suddenly grabbed Chongi and held it in front of him, saying he was finally awake and asking if he felt uncomfortable. Still clueless, he asked what was wrong, not remembering anything about why he had lost consciousness earlier. While Ivy explained to him that his pet mouse had been so greedy that it jumped out of his arm while he was eating, startling him, which is why he lost consciousness. She felt embarrassed saying this, while the mouse nestled in Ivy's soft bosom seemed to feel sorry for what it had done. Hearing this, he didn't expect to feel like a scared child and tried to make excuses, claiming he wasn't scared at all, and that something else must have caused him to lose consciousness. Ivy, however, continued to blame herself for what happened, insisting that after his pet jumped onto his face, he fell and passed out. She apologized, expressing her concern. Suddenly, Ju appeared, saying that the demon Tamer and the blood-covenanted demon complement each other, and that his pet Chongi was meant to strengthen him. She added that the reason for his fainting was likely due to the immense power he was holding in his body, which he couldn't handle because of his poor foundation. It seemed that our boy needed to start working on himself to become stronger, like Jinwoo. With a serious tone, Ju lectured them, making our boy feel worthless and like a loser with nothing to offer. He looked at his hand and noticed that the blood covenant mark had disappeared, which explained why he couldn't withstand the powerful magic of his cute Chongi, causing him to faint. Now that he understood the cause, he realized he needed to learn a lot more, feeling disappointed and downcast. Ju sighed, seeing his lack of motivation, and decided to encourage him by giving both of them a magic bracelet, tossing it to them. She commented that they seemed careless for not wearing anything to help manage their pet's power. When they asked what the bracelets for, she explained that they were storage bracelets that could store their own spiritual energy. Fascinated by the bracelets, they put them on and began examining them. Jununa told them that with these bracelets, she could now feel comfortable not having to follow them around, since they always seemed to cause trouble for her. However, the two seemed clueless about what Jununa was referring to. With confused expressions, they asked her how they could send their spiritual energy to the bracelets, addressing her as their teacher. Jununa felt a mix of frustration and amusement, wondering how these two funny idiots could be the worst students she had ever taught. Without much choice, she decided to teach them. She asked them to show her their hands and extend their index fingers. As they complied, she grabbed their hands and raised them up, instructing them to let their chi sink into their dantian, to concentrate on feeling the spiritual energy within their bodies, and then to channel that energy into their fingertips. Hearing this, it seemed that Ivy finally understood, and also our boy understood it too, and when they tried it, their fingers suddenly began to glow with light. They were amazed and surprised, and their cute Chongi and the little cat were happy to see their success. Ivy's little mouse was nowhere to be seen, but anyway, after successfully channeling their energy, Jununa told them that now they could do it on their own. She instructed them to touch their fingertips to their bracelets. Ivy tried it first, and as she did, her little mouse appeared out of nowhere, nestled between her breasts. Our boy tried it as well, and they both saw how the bracelets absorbed their spiritual energy. They were stunned and amazed, like children, and grew even more excited, praising how amazing the bracelets were. They even joked about how the bracelets resembled a demon watch, like something out of a Pokemon episode. The two were clearly happy and celebrating their first success. Meanwhile, Jununa observed their childish excitement and, with a sigh, said goodbye to them. Before leaving, she reminded them that while they might seem fine now, they would need to rest up, because she planned to put them through devilish training every day to strengthen their foundations. She warned them that she wouldn't accept any excuses for missing training. If they didn't attend, she would hunt them down and beat them up. They didn't expect this and were shocked to hear it. This is the end of the video. Please continue to support our channel. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next chapter.